and welcome back to Well-Read Soiree. Today we are going to be discussing Setting the Table by Meyer. And if I had to say three things that I got from this book, I would say I have a newfound appreciation for dining out at restaurants. You kind of learn a little bit behind the scenes of what they're going through and how it is from their side looking out at the diner. I have a newfound appreciation for food at restaurants. I was definitely hungry most of the time reading this restaurants, especially when he talked about restaurants he's been to in France and Italy. And the third thing I got from this is that I really want to go to New York and try all of his restaurants. I actually am in the works of planning a trip to New York, so I will put all the details on my blog at wellreadsoiree.com for you to check it out, and maybe we could do a meetup there. So, like always, I'm just going to go through each chapter and touch on the parts that really stood out to me. Starting with the introduction, I only underlined one thing. Business, like life, is all about how you make people feel. It's that simple and it's that hard. This book is all about how you make others feel, and it definitely opens up your eyes to who you are as a person on a different level. And also what I found interesting was I found various ideas that brought me back to other books we've read, like Confidence Code and Girl Boss, so I will highlight those as well. Chapter 1, the first course. 11 Martis. Oh, okay. I was gonna start almost telling you, reading what I outlined, but this is just for me. It's all of his restaurants. So it's 11 Madison Park, Tabla, Blue Smoke, Jazz Standard, Shake Shack, which just went public, the Modern, Cafe 2, and Terrace 5, which are all in the Museum of Modern Art. And then he has Hudson Yards Catering. So those are all of my New York itinerary. So basically in chapter 1 he talks about how he explored the object of his interest in depth, and then he combines the best of what he found with something unexpected to create a fresh context. So he really talks about expanding the market, like in Playing to Win. He entered in a highly saturated market, so you're not just playing just to play, you play to win. So he looks at the market and how can he extend the market, which he didn't necessarily say exactly in the book, but I knew that's what he was getting at from reading Playing to Win. Hospitality is the foundation of my business philosophy. Virtually nothing else is as important as how one is made to feel in any business transaction. Hospitality exists when you believe the other person is on your side. The converse is just as true. Hospitality is present when something happens for you. It is absent when something happens to you. Those two simple prepositions form to express it all. Chapter 2, the business. One of the core business lessons I have taken from the continued success of Union Square Cafe is that willingness to overcome difficult circumstances is a crucial character trait in my employees, partners, and restaurants. So Union Square Cafe was actually his first restaurant that he opened. And he opened it in an area that was sort of not a great place in New York at the time. And he opened it there and he worked very hard to revamp the neighborhood, and now he's an established institution, if you will, in that part of New York. Chapter 3, the restaurant takes root. So I underlined a restaurant in Paris called Tail Event. It's a 3-star Tail Event. So that's just somewhere I want to see in Paris. Okay, so here's a part where I was reminded of the book Playing to Win. He talks about service and what's category generic. And so service is category generic. everyone provides service, every restaurant. He said hospitality is brand specific. When you are seated at the precise time of your reservation at the exact table and with the waiter you requested, that is a reflection of good service. Generic. When the right food is delivered to the right person at the right table at the right temperature at the right time, that's service. Again, generic. When you see a member of the waitstaff decanting a bottle of wine with care and grace, that's service. When your empty plate is cleared from the table in a graceful manner, that is service too. When in answer to your question, the waiter can explain the nuances of the wines on our list, that's service. But hospitality, brand specific, which most distinguishes our restaurants and ultimately any business, is the sum of all the thoughtful, caring, gracious things our staff does to make you feel we are on your side when dining with us. So an example he talks about is making reservations. Oftentimes when you call, it can seem like they're gatekeepers and trying to keep you out, like, oh, we're overcommitted, sorry. But with his staff, he wants them to feel that when someone calls in, that the reservationist is on their side, and if they can't make a reservation, suggest another time or another restaurant. So hospitality for him starts with the reservationist. Chapter 4, Turning Over the Rocks. There was a world of information under that rock, if only I knew or cared enough to look for it. There's always a story behind a story if you look for it, and you can augment your success at hooking customers by taking the care, time, and interest to look. When we take an active interest in the guests of our restaurant, we create a sense of community and a feeling of shared ownership. So he talks about sometimes you just have to keep looking for the answers, and if you don't look or you don't take the time to read something or look into something, you could be missing a wealth of information. I've always viewed excellence as a journey rather than a destination. Everyone goes through life with an invisible sign hanging around his or her neck reading, "Make me feel important." The most successful people in any business that depend on human relationships are the ones who know about the invisible sign and have the vision to see how brightly it is flashing. And the true champions know best how to embrace the human being wearing the sign. If I want our guests to take an interest in us, I'd better take an equal interest in them, which is completely true. I actually in college worked at Nordstrom, and you could really tell that when you're trying to sell clothes, it's not just, oh, do you want to buy that or not? I mean, the customer wants a customer service interaction. They want to feel the connection and the relationship, and the most successful people at Nordstrom knew how to foster that relationship. So I think that is transferable in any industry. It's all about building relationships and taking an interest in the person and being an active listener. People always like to talk about themselves, so listening. Chapter 5, Whoever Wrote the Rule. In chapter 5, there was nothing that really stood out to me. I'm not saying it's a terrible chapter, but there was just nothing that I felt the need to highlight. Chapter 6, No Turning Back. Invest in your community and the rising tide will lift all boats. So like Union Square Cafe, it was not the greatest of areas, but he invested in that area and built it up, and now it's a bustling part of town. And not only did he lift his restaurant profits, but he lifted the whole community with him. Know thyself. Before you go to market, know what you are selling and to whom. It's a very rare business that can or should be all things to all people. Be the best you can be within a reasonably tight product focus. That will help you to improve yourself and help your customers to know how and when to buy your product. Performing a daily ritual with a self-selected group of like-minded human beings also sells. A business that doesn't understand its reason as fostering community will inevitably underperform. Also, I want to mention that before opening Shake Shack, he did a little bit of research and went on a tour and tried all of the best burgers So on page 135 and 136, he talks about all of the restaurants around the US that he tried the burgers at. So I highlighted those to try those. And they're everywhere in Los Angeles, Michigan, Kansas, Napa, Connecticut. So it's literally all over. Chapter 7, the 51% solution. Great leaders tend to have a heightened sense of how to attract and hire other extraordinary people. And what he means by 51%ers, he said there are two traits that make up his staff. Their technical skills, which is 49%, and the 51% being their social skills and ability to foster relationships. So he says that this is what creates soul in his restaurant. So here it says, that explains how a flawless 4-star restaurant can actually attract far fewer loyal fans than a 2 or 3-star place with soul. So it doesn't matter how perfect or how technical your skills are, it can come across very stiff, and someone might not want to return to an establishment like that rather than a place that might have a star less and they're very hospitable and you feel comfortable and there's a relationship there. I can give you the perfect example. I just got back from the Maldives and they had, on our island, they had 4 restaurants, and one of them was a Michelin, 2-star Michelin, 2 or 3-star Michelin restaurant, lay in 1947. And everyone in there was just super uptight and stiff, and there was no, I felt human contact. I felt that it was being run a lot by robots. Whereas when we went to the other restaurants on the island, the chef would come out and talk to us, the waiter would stand around and talk to us, and it was just like a enjoyable experience, and I felt like I was actually interacting with humans and not robots trained to place your plates down at exactly the same time, pick them up at the same time as your guest. So that is just a side note there. Moving on, he has 5 core qualities in his 51%ers. Optimistic warmth, intelligence, work ethic, empathy, self-awareness, and integrity. Chapter 8, broadcasting the message, tuning in the feedback. Did not highlight anything there. Chapter 9, constant gentle pressure. This has to do with how he chooses to lead his team, and the best way he puts it is constant gentle pressure. Being a leader isn't always easy, and choosing the right way to lead people and gain a following can be a tricky endeavor. Your staff and your guests are always moving your salt shaker off center. That's their job. It's the job of life. It's the law of entropy. Until you understand that, you're going to get pissed off every time someone moves the salt shaker off center. It is not your job to get upset. You just need to understand that's what they do. Your job is just to move the salt shaker back each time and let them know exactly what you stand for. Let them know what excellence. Every business needs a core strategy to be what I call always on the improve. That again reminds me of playing to win. Chapter 10, the road to success is paved with mistakes well handled. So there are what he has, the 5 A's of effectively addressing mistakes. I won't go into the details of each one, but you can check them out on page 223. Awareness, acknowledgement, apology, action, additional generosity. Chapter 11, the virtuous cycle of enlightened hospitality. So just to give you a brief overview, I did not highlight anything here, but enlightened hospitality is the way he orders the rank of everyone within his company. So his number 1 is employees, 2 is his guests, 3 community, 4 supplier, 5 investors. So from 1 to 5, that's the order of priority. And I really liked actually that point, because he says, how can you have a successful business and grow if it doesn't start with the employee, and if you don't have employees that are motivated and happy and wanting to work for you. Chapter 12, context, context, context. The yes criteria for new ventures. So he talks about, he has 9 points on everything he goes through as to whether or not he'll take on a new venture. I just thought that was really interesting, and I think that that can be applied to any number of different things. Page 273. Chapter 13, the art of hospitality. The courage to grow demands the courage to let go. Whenever you expand in business, not just the restaurant business, the process is incredibly challenging, especially for leaders who first rose to the top because of their tendency to want to control all the details. You have to let go. You have to surround yourself with ambassadors, people who know how to accomplish goals and make decisions while treating people the way you would. They're comfortable expressing themselves within the boundaries of your business culture, the content with the role they play in helping a larger team achieve its greatest potential success. And whoever wrote the rule that you can't get a warm welcome and have excellent food, hospitality delivered to tables in what are traditionally a trade service museum cafeteria. So here he's talking about, he started his 3 different eateries in the Museum of Modern Art, and he said normally in a museum it's like cafeteria type eating, and he said who says it has to be that way? So that's where he was rewriting the rules, and that really reminded me of Girl Boss when she says know when to follow the rules and when to rewrite them. So overall, I feel this was a really good book. I think a lot of his points here can be translated into any industry, and I just feel that I'm a more well-rounded person after reading this book because of my newfound appreciation for the service side of hospitality and even my newfound appreciation for food. So can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. We're going to announce our next read, and all the details for the book club can be found on my website, wellreadsoiree.com. So check us out there, and I will see you guys later.